So it's a rainy day, so what are you going to do on a rainy day but repot orchids? So I was looking at this particular orchid. It's a no ID orchid, and it's a rescue orchid. Let me see if I can get here to show you. It's a rescue orchid now that has been doing well. I got it about, I don't know, maybe 18 months ago, and it was rescue orchid because I practically killed it, so now I'm rescuing it. And I noticed there was a new root growth growing, so I can safely repot it. And I had it in a mixture of these little balls and sphagnum moss. Now that worked, and I'm not so, the little balls, the leca balls or whatever they're called, hydroton balls that I've been using, they do work, but I don't know, for some reason I don't like them anymore. I have no idea why. I guess maybe the looks of them, or the fact that they get the little salt deposits on them, and I can't get them off. And well, here's one for a little, I can't really see it too much in this orchid. But originally when I used these leca balls, I thought, oh good, I could just recycle them all the time. I just boil them up to get rid of all the, you know, germs and mold and whatever, and then I can just reuse them. But that doesn't seem to be the case on my other orchids. That the scale from the water, I have city water, and it leaves scale on it, and I can't get rid of it, so I have to throw them away. So that kind of defeats the purpose. So then I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to go back into the bark, and so I'm going to use bark here. So because I can now's the appropriate time, because there's a little root there that isn't too long, and there's one healthy looking. Look at that. The other, that has 2 leaves in it. The others are only 1 leaf, so I'm not quite sure what that means, but maybe it's just happy. So when I took it out of the pot, I just had it in this little pot, and I took it out of the pot, and I found this little guy. Right? And I'm thinking, what the heck is that? But it also has, a little growth on it. Now, it doesn't have a root on it, but I'm going to just, because it just fell off, I'm going to try to plant it, what I'm doing perennials outside, so I'm planting, but I meant repotting. So I'm just going to repot it, and I think I'm going to put this in a bit of sphagnum moss, because sphagnum moss is good for sick little things, and this is still a sick little thing. So I'll just set it aside, and I'm going to put it into this tiny little 2-inch pot that I have and see if it grows. And this one I'm going to put into the bark. So let me just stop this for a second, and I'll get what I need. So let me start to show you what I'm going to do with this little guy. So I cut off all the dead roots, all the roots, because they're all dead, and I'm going to wrap it up in this sphagnum moss, and then I'm going to put it into this little pot. Now the sphagnum moss I've soaked in, and I've added into that water some Super Thrive. Now I know there's tons of controversy about Super Thrive, but when I talked to someone who uses it, they told me they only use it to stimulate roots. It's not a fertilizer. I saw this video on YouTube where a man actually did a test where he grew tomatoes using Super Thrive and grew tomatoes without Super Thrive. And at the end of the season, when it was time to pick them, there was no difference between the Super Thrive, the ones with Super Thrive and the ones with just fertilizer. So the point is that Super Thrive just helps root development. And I know some people don't believe that, but you know what? I think it works, and so I'm going to use it. You can, you know, whatever. Let's put it this way. It does no harm, and in case it does good, I'm happy with it. So I'm just going to wrap this up and wind it around, and then I'm going to put it into this little thing. So I'm just going to stop here right now and do that and come back. Okay, I finished repotting it. What I did was, though, I put a few of these big bark chips in the bottom, and then I just put the sphagnum moss on top, just so you can see. I don't want it really, you know, going up too high up the plant, but just like that. And then I stuck a couple of little toothpicks to keep it in place, and I hope that that will work. I don't know if it will or not, but it's worth a try, and it's a cute little experiment. So that's what I'm going to do with that one, and hope that it grows roots in there. I don't know, but it might. So anyway, and you can see the spider mite damage from before that happened. And this poor little plant, like I said, I'm rescuing it from what I did to it earlier. So anyway, so that's that one. Now I'll go on to the other one. Whoops. So basically what I did was I cut off almost all of the rotten or the bad roots and left it. It looks good, and being careful not to knock that thing off, because if that gets knocked off, that root gets off, then the game is over. And what I'm hoping will happen is that root will develop, and while until it really develops a lot, this shoot with the two leaves is going to be supported by these older pseudo bulbs, and they're probably going to look, you know, pretty wrinkly by the time that root grows. And I don't even know if one root's enough to support the plant, but we'll see. So I've got that there, and this is the bark that I'm using. It's a mix, and I took out all the really big chunks. I don't know why. I didn't think I wanted all the really, really big, the super big chunks like this, because I thought, oh my God, those roots are, like, I'm thinking, no, I don't think so. But anyway, I'll use those with my other Cattleya, and they'll do well. I sort of picked out from this special mix, and I love it. It told me I can repot with confidence. Well, that's what I need, is confidence. So I'm using this, and it's I think it's even, yeah, it's even endorsed by the American Orchid Society. So I can repot with confidence. So I've got this 4-inch plastic pot, and I'm going to put some in the bottom, and then I'm going to place it in like this. So how can I show you this? I'm just trying to get those roots covered with the bark chips, and I'll just stop and do that, since I can't do much with one hand, and I really must find a little stand for my iPhone so I can do these videos without, you know, all the jiggling and everything. So I'll have to look around. So be back in a so with confidence now. I was worried I was getting a little too confident, so I decided the best course of action was to be cautiously confident, especially where that root is. I didn't want to, you know, one of those pieces knock off that one and only root I have. So I was cautiously confident, and here it is, and I sort of tapped it gently, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse it, just rinse it to get all the, you know, fine particles, rinse out the fine particles in the bark mix. I don't like using wet bark mix, because I found all the stuff sticks to me, and I can't stand that, like those little white bits and the other bits stick. So I decided I would do it dry, and then I would rinse them, and then after I've rinsed them off, I'll let it soak for a bit in this water that has some of this Super Thrive in it. Again, as I said earlier, I'm just using it in case it helps. It doesn't harm, so it can help. Although I do recall a Phalaenopsis grower saying that he used Super Thrive, and one time when all his Phalaenopsis bloomed, all the flowers were all deformed in some way, so he would not advise using it with Phalaenopsis. But I figure if you're just using it until the roots get established, by the time flower stems and the buds form and they bloom, the Phalaenopsis bloom, they've long forgotten that Super Thrive was even given to them. So I just use it for, for the roots. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to take a moment to do that, and I'll be back in a second. So I rinsed it, and it's happily sitting in water, but only, I don't know if I can see, well, you can see that the water doesn't come up to the, above this. It's just below, and I'll let it maybe 20 minutes, because this is the first time the bark has gotten wet. So I'll leave it like that, and then I'll drain it, and then I'll put it in, I'll put a label in saying that I repotted it at this time, and then, because I don't know what the name of it is, so anyway, then it, I hope it's worth all this trouble. But anyway, so these two little guys were repotted today on this rainy day, and I feel good about a rainy day now, and I can look forward to seeing these two orchids thrive. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you subscribe and share and leave comments. I love comments, and I hope you got some helpful tips from what I've done. And as time goes on, I'll do updates on these to let you know how things are. So bye for now, till next time.